Hello everyone, welcome to the studio again. Today's topic is the Bluesound Node and Power Node. Now, I think this is the most important piece of audio equipment, especially for the garage, but we can use it all throughout the house. But I think it's the most important piece of equipment that we have here in the OG store because this is how we're getting high quality, high resolution, whether it's an FLAC file or it's an MQA file from Tidal, or if you're listening to Qobuz and high resolution audio, this is how we're going to get it to the speaker in non-powered or sort of preamplifier style, or in a amplified powered version. You can see the binding post on the back of the power node. So let's dig in and talk about how I'm using this and why you might want this thing. I do have a pair of studio monitor. These are Dynaudio LIDs here. We'll talk about how to hook those up, but we'll also talk about some other options and where you would apply these as we kind of work through this. So power node and node, so this is obviously the small one is the non-powered, the node version. They both come in black and white. If you're going to put your hands on it, so if you're going to ever be using the top control panel on the black power node or black node, I think you'd be better off with white. And it seems counterintuitive, but the white version is less fingerprinty, if you will. But they do come in two colors and the prices are the same. It's $5.99 today at the end of 2021 for a node, and $9.49 for a power node. So they at first glance seem rather expensive for just a streaming box, but hopefully will convince you by the end of this. So both, if you look at the back of them, both have quite a bit of capability. So it takes a pair of powered speakers, the node can take a pair of powered speakers like a studio monitor or the PSV AM5s that we love so much here, or Dynaudio Zeos. So you take a pair of speakers that have an amplifier and you give it not just Bluetooth connectivity and Wi-Fi connectivity, but true native player capability, meaning that this, instead of being a remote control, or instead of your phone connecting and being the player, your phone becomes a remote control that just controls this thing. And I'm telling you, the BlueOS app, we'll show you in a second here, is extremely capable and really, really awesome, super easy to use. So if we look on the back panel, the node has pre-outs. And so that's where, if you were to look at something like a studio monitor, you have a pre-in, meaning you're just sending signal, not amplified signal, but you're sending low-level signal from the node into a speaker that has an amplifier, and then this is going to amplify. You could use this with a receiver or an integrated amplifier. If you had some old Yamaha or Denon receiver, you could use this as your streamer. I'd be inclined to use the node in applications where you have a powered pair of speakers. But we have our left and right out, and then this is the key. You have a subwoofer output. So for instance, the Dynaudio Zeos that we sell, Zeos don't have any connectivity for subwoofer without doing their weird boxes that really don't work very well. This not only gets you high-res audio to your powered Dynaudio Zeos, but you also can run a subwoofer, and so it has a direct subwoofer out. You have coax out, which I'm not sure, you're not going to use that. Same thing with optical out. So this is not a fully functioning, audio receiver with all kinds of, there's no video switching, there's no real audio switching. The real focus of this is to stream, and then also connect to a television if you wanted to. And then, so you'd use your TV as your source, and then it does have the latest HDMI 2.1 version of eARC, or Enhanced Audio Return Channel. And so if you ran an HDMI cable from your television, the audio return channel out into the audio return channel in, eARC can do full lossless Dolby Atmos surround. Obviously this is going to be 2-channel only, but it will do, it'll give you the uncompressed lossless signal from your LG WebOS or your Android-based platform from a Sony or something like that. And then you have the ability to connect to network. This is a gigabit connection. So if you do have fiber, or you have high speed, even any sort of high speed connectivity, and you have a network connection, they do have that as well. I don't think you're going to use this very much, but you have IR in if you were using like the Control 4 remote or some remote control home automation system where you were going to put this in a closet somewhere. This can function very well in that fashion too. And then you do have an analog optical in, which you would need an adapter, but it does have that as well. So same basic idea here on the power node. The power node doesn't have our outputs. It doesn't have any pre-out. And so this would be used if your Dynaudio emits PSB, P3s, P5s, Dynaudio Evoke. I've run some relatively inefficient like Evoke floor standing speakers off of this, but the power node is much simpler. Sub out, speaker out, eARC in. It does have an optical in and an analog in that you would do a 1/8 inch to RCA adapter or 1/8 inch to fiber optic adapter, and it does have IR control as well for functionality on a home automation system or remote control system, as well as same thing with the network connection. They do have a USB connection, which would be more for I guess software updates if you didn't have connectivity to Wi-Fi, which you're probably going to connect this to your network, and so all the updates will work right out of the box. So connectivity, super simple. Let's say hypothetically you were going to set up a pair of Dynaudio LYDs. All we would do is run either a RCA to XLR adapter, which we have in the store, or you can just run RCA to the RCA in. That's it. One wire to each speaker. So this speaker's plugged into the wall. The Bluesound node is plugged into the wall. You run one single cable to it. You connect your phone, which we'll show you in a second, and fully functional, fully capable. You're able to stream and listen to, control volume, listen to whatever high-res files you can dream up. If you do have Roon is a kind of like Kaleidoscape, where Roon is a audio sort of organization system. I'm not sure why you would need that with the catalogs and playlists you could do on Tidal or Spotify. So I'm not a big Roon guy, but some people like Roon, and so you could do Roon on this. Kaleidoscape would be the video equivalent of that. So with a node, it's as simple as that. Let's pretend, because these look very similar to like a Dynaudio Emit, which is a passive speaker. You had a power node. All you would simply do, plug it in, run some speaker wires to the back of your speaker, done. That's the magic of this. And then these are Class D, so or the power node's Class D, so it's going to run extremely efficiently, extremely cool. Another thing with these are using ARM, so think Apple M1 chip, where it's system on a chip, rather than having different sections where you'd have the processor on a different chip from RAM and all of that. So your whole system is on the single chip, and so these are extremely efficient, extremely cool. You could stick it in a metal cabinet. I don't think you'll have a problem. If you put it in a metal cabinet, you may have Bluetooth functionality issues, but if you have this set up, you shouldn't be using Bluetooth. We should be using native connectivity via the BlueOS app. That's how you should be connecting these anyway. But the power node is a 80 watt per channel Class D. It's basically it's an NAD, super high quality, super high end amplifier in this puppy that's powering whatever you want. And I've run some really big, really inefficient speakers, and it sounds pretty darn great. You do have on the front, I forgot to mention, you do have I think it's a pretty high impedance. You can run a decent set of headphones off of the front of this, which I'm not a headphone guy, but if you're running, you could run headphones off of this without issue as well. So software updates will run as soon as you connect to the phone. If there's any software update needed, it'll have you do that really quickly. I'm not even going to go through a setup video on this. I'm going to show you how BlueOS works on the phone. What you need to do is download the BlueOS app and just connect, and there is no setup. It's freaking simple. It'll show up in the BlueOS when you don't even have to add a device. It'll recognize the device. It'll stay connected to that forever. Like this black one I haven't used in a month or so. We'll find out in a second here, but I pretty much guarantee as soon as I turn my phone on, it's going to show up and be fully functional, fully capable, and it'll tell you, firmware updates if they're necessary. They do an update, I'd say, we're at monthly now, where there seems to be a BlueOS update monthly where they're really supporting this and ensuring that it is as functional as possible. So let's hook this thing up, and I'm just going to show you how it works. I'm not going to play some speakers for you. I think that's stupid. I know people love that when we play speakers in on a video with a lav mic, and but we do it, but I'm not going to do it in this video. So let's connect. So you will notice the POWERNODE does have a more robust power cable than the Node. It makes sense. This has a cable box like power cord for the Node, and then a more like receiver like more robust, probably 16 gauge or maybe 20 gauge or 18 gauge 14 gauge power cord, and so it makes sense that you because you're going to draw a little bit more power with the Node, because it does have an amplifier. But we're just plug this thing in. Let's do the black one, because I don't think I've used the white one before. Just plug it into the outlet here. Let's see how long this takes. So, BlueOS app I have right here on my phone. I'm a one-pager guy, one page of apps. And then I use a few folders. BlueOS. Takes a second to load because I haven't been using it. If I go home, boom, there it is. Now I've already connected it, so it'll take another minute or so to connect. But there's my Node. From a tuning perspective, drop this from your vocabulary, bass and treble adjustments. You can do that on this unit if you go to audio settings here, but I would highly suggest you not mess with that. This is where you would go and turn your subwoofer on or off and adjust the crossover. So it does have a subwoofer crossover functionality. And again, you can adjust tone controls, you can adjust bass and treble. I would suggest you listen to the speakers as they were intended, as they were tuned. Maybe if your room's a little odd, maybe you dial the treble back a tick or two, but don't go in and frickin' jack up bass and treble like an idiot. You're ruining your experience, so don't do that. But you do have a little bit of tone control functionality. That's really all you're going to use on this thing is subwoofer, and you're not really going to mess with the output volume or anything like that. But then once we're done here, let me close this. The thing I love about the BlueOS app is the playlist. The playlists are actually, I think, better. So you have all these mixes that Tidal creates that apparently are more difficult to find in the actual native Tidal app. But the beauty is now when I'm playing, Pussifer here, and I'm playing it onto or through the Node, it is native. So this is just a remote control. The actual playing and processing is done with the really sophisticated system-on-a-chip processor, the ARM processor inside of the Node. The Node is then playing, and it even tells me here, I don't know if you can see that, but see how there's an MQA right there, really tight on the screen. So I'm getting 24-bit, 192 kilohertz audio on my Node. POWERNODE functionality is identical. The other beauty of this thing is that I can connect, and why don't we do that? I'll show you. I can very easily connect 2, 3, 4. I can connect up to 64 of these things in my house. Pull this a little closer. And have them all show up on screen, have them all play simultaneously, have them all connect, and easily transition back and forth from one to the other. Let's give it a second to power up. I'm pretty sure I've used this one. Taking a second there, boom, boom, just like that, in just a few seconds. So POWERNODE, Node. So if I was playing, so right now, again, I don't have speakers connected, but right now I'm playing on the Node. So if I go back here, this song is playing, and so if I wanted to, I could merge, get out of here. I could merge the POWERNODE, so I could add it. Oh, there it's telling me, do you want to do 13.6.2, so it's giving me the option to update the firmware. We'll do that later. And so I could either handshake by hitting the arrow here, and I could pass off my audio over to the power node. See, it switches from the other one to the next. Or I could merge them and play them both at the same time by hitting the plus, and it creates a zone there. And I can do any combination I want of that with multiple players. And so let's say you had a power node in the garage with a pair of Dynaudio emits, and then you had a node in your, I don't know, in your bathroom or in your office connected to a pair of Zeos. And you could play both music identically. You could play each one individually. You have the ability to play multiple zones, different types of music all across your system. It's really pretty freaking amazing. It's the very best, like for the house I'm building, it's, I believe, the very best distributed audio as well as the very best streamer at the moment on the planet. I think it's fantastic. So super simple to set up. You won't be having to call our guys in tech support to figure out how to do it. Easy software updates, easy handshake capability. You won't have to read any directions or watch any videos. It's just intuitive. It makes sense. These guys have really killed it, knocked it out of the park. It's much, much higher quality sound than something like Sonos, as well as you're getting better functionality, ease of use. You can connect this to your TV in order to get audio through your system. You could connect this to again, a pair of speakers and power through a power node. So the combination of these two is really freaking incredible, and I would highly recommend it. But $550 or $599, $600, and $950 seems really expensive. But this is basically a Mac Mini with an amplifier built into it that is capable of doing whatever you want it to do. Here's the box. This is what it looks like. This is the node. Obviously, is in a smaller, slightly less thick box than a power node. You can order them in black or white, and I'm hoping to stock these very deeply. But this is the source component. This is the component you need for sort of the epicenter of your house. This is the way, they all integrate with goofy Amazon Alexa and all that junk if you're playing with that, white trash fancy crap. But this is really, I think, the hi-fi guy, the guy or girl that likes audio, and you want to get quality resolution in any area of the house. They're really the source component that you would use to do that. So the top panel, last thing I'll mention, the top panel does have functionality to change volume, so you can adjust volume up and down. You can switch songs, so left to right. I forget what the buttons are. These are to change sources over the top. But really, you're going to use the application. You're probably never going to touch this. So if you want it to be hidden in your cabinet somewhere, but put the black one. If you're going to be touching it all the time, get the white one. But these things, I think the white one looks better too. And I'm usually always picking the black source component, but I think the white version is the way to go. So you can power, any speaker you want off of this. 80 watts doesn't seem like much, but this is a true Class D, NAD derived, true 80 watts. They're not overinflating that. And yes, you're going to get better audio output from a bigger, more robust amplifier, but for the garage or just a background listening environment where it's not a critical listening area, you're going to be smiling ear to ear. So a common question in your choice between doing node and powered speakers or power node and regular, like passive speakers, which is going to sound better? And unfortunately, I think it's one of those, those deflecting answers. It depends on the combination. Now the pricing is going to be very similar, and so I think what you're asking me, what most people are going to ask me, is which would you choose? Would you choose to do something like this, a node and a set of LYDs, or a node and a set of PSB AM3s or AM5s? That would be the sort of the lowest cost, high resolution, like really good sounding combination would be a set of PSBs and a node. The PSB AM5s have an amplifier. And that amplifier is like, I don't know, I think it's like 30 or 40 watts in the speaker. It's not going to be as high quality of an amplifier as what you have in the POWERNODE. So theoretically speaking, the powered speaker and Node version would sound sound not quite as good. But there's something magical, especially if you are able to step up to like LYDs or even cores, the really high-end version of the Dynaudio Studio monitors. There's something magical about the simplicity of that. In that, in a lot of garages, a lot of instances, you would have the ability to plug your speakers in, but not the ability to run speaker wire across the room because you have block walls and there's no way to make it cleanly. And so I think a lot of it is going to depend on how your room is set up. If you have a cabinet array and you have the ability to run cables behind it, then it really doesn't matter. But a lot of you are going to have some instances where you have a shelf or something like that, where you have a power outlet, but you can't really run speaker wires because you don't have access to run it through the walls. Then this combination is going to be the way to go. I can plug this in and plug it into the speaker, and then, dang it, you still have to get the XLR cable across. So, so scrap that idea. This is a good question. I think, what would I do? I think I would rather have Node and studio monitors in my garage versus POWERNODE and something like Emits. Well, in my garage, I have the big version of the Node, which is the NADC 685, and I have the Core 59s in my garage, and so that's the way I have it set up. But then again, in my house, I have an NAD M33, which is the big version of a POWERNODE and a set of Dynaudio Heritage. Man, that's a tough question to answer. I think I think it depends on what your garage looks like, so you may want to hit us up and ask us that question. I think in most instances, I'm going to choose, for the simplicity of it, I'm going to choose the Node and a set of powered speakers. And really, I think it comes down to how much money you're willing to spend. I think it comes down to what does your garage look like from a size and amplitude perspective. I think in most cases, I think you're going to choose the Node and the powered speaker version if you're starting from scratch. I think a lot of you probably already have speakers, and then that's where the POWERNODE can come in and power the speakers you already have. So it just really depends on your situation. So that's a really tough one to answer. I think for me, I want both, and so I'm having a hard time answering it for you. But for me, I think I love the combination if you're starting from scratch. I love studio monitors in the garage. I think it's an amazing experience because studio monitors are really designed for near field, really close listening at like a desk or a console. For whatever reason, they tend to do really well because of their subdued, controlled sound. In a garage, they tend to do well with the harsh surfaces. So thanks for your support. These are available at obsessedgarage.com. If you have questions, you can always hit me up, matt@obsessedgarage.com, or support@obsessedgarage.com. If you want us to design your garage and build your audio system as well as your cabinets, flooring, lighting, pretty much we can provide an end-to-end solution. Hit up design@obsessedgarage.com. All the guys, Manny and his team, are very well versed in the audio equipment to help answer your questions. Kyle also and his team in the design area are very well versed in the audio stuff. I've been hammering it down their throat, and they've been watching me and watching all these videos and becoming pretty astute in the audio space. But yeah, I think there's nothing better than a quality audio experience in the garage. And I think that the Bluesound Node and POWERNODE are a critical component to get you there, to be able to take care of a quality pair of speakers and make your audio experience great, including adding a subwoofer very, very simply, very easily. So thanks for your support. Go to obsessedgarage.com, buy this stuff, help me continue to chase these amazing solutions. We'll see you on the next one.